video. Um, I wanted to inform you before you probably heard from the media that today, just a few hours ago, I filed bankruptcy. Now, it is a little comical because everything I have, I own. I've paid for. I have zero debt. I maintain a few $1,000 on a credit card that I pay off every month, but I own everything. My cars, of course, my house was taken from me. By the way, it just appraised for little over $1.8 million, and St. Luke's CEO Chris Roth, and with the help of Eric Stidham at Holland and Hart, took it away from me. And so it's going to be really interesting to see what the court does, or the bankruptcy court does, because they're going to look at this and they're going to go, well, you only have one debt, and that's a $53 million judgment against you. And my response will be, well, this bankruptcy is not about finances. I've been very good with my finances my entire life. Bankruptcy is something that it's completely against my nature. But in this circumstance, I'm basically have really no choice. And I've held off for a long time, and believe that the time is right. And so I filed, and I'll share a little bit about the main reason why I filed, because it wasn't because I wanted or timing or even relief. I'll share that with you a little bit. But, the bankruptcy court will be interesting, this process, because they're going to see that basically this is just political, that the entire thing is political. It has nothing to do with finances. And the court gets to make a choice of what they're going to do. Are they going to uphold this thing? Are they going to just strip me of everything and give it to these wicked people that have just used the courts as their personal collection agency? And are they going to allow injustice to continue on in the courts? I don't know. We'll see. I don't have a lot of faith in the courts because of my experience there. But anyway, I wanted you to know that I filed bankruptcy today. They did confirm that they received it. They opened up a case, and now I'm one of many, right? One of many political um, enemies that basically these people have destroyed financially. I mean, we got people like Rudy Giuliani, right? There's a whole slew of them. Probably by the time they get done with Trump, he's probably going to have to go bankrupt. They just, they've used the courts for their political, to punish their political enemies. And the courts have allowed them. These judges, they're really despicable because, they have allowed the courts to become a tool for political enemies to use against each other. And whoever has the most money or who is in line with the courts win. And it's not about justice. And so it's really diminishing the value of the courts, and it's diminishing the purpose of the courts. And, it's basically these judges cutting their own throats. And, they'll pay a price for it, because already right now, you look, 10 years ago, if a president of the United States or a president-elect was accused and then found guilty of, felony crimes, if you will. Believe me, I don't believe that Trump is, guilty of, truly guilty of those things. But, if they were found guilty of that, then they would have no chance. Yet President Trump, when he was found guilty, became more popular and more people supported him. And it's because people around the country do not believe that the courts are administering justice. They don't believe it. And it's you, the judges, if you're listening to this, that have done this. You have allowed, people like St. Luke's Health System CEO Chris Roth and Eric Steidham, to use their money to basically punish people politically in your courts. And you haven't stopped it. So, you know, I go bankrupt. We'll see what happens. We'll see if they discharge the debt. I think it's climbing up like right around 53 million. And that would include the entire lawsuit. And we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting. I hope it doesn't drag on too long because, basically at this point, I've lost my home. I've lost the ability to be, in my community. They've locked up my businesses and all of that. And so to be able to move forward, I hope that, that I can be freed from this. And even if I end up with nothing in the end, other than a free start. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes. And I will say this, since it's right along the lines of this video, I'll talk about it later more, but all crime is theft. There is no crime that's not a theft. And so all crime is theft. And before you disagree with me or think maybe otherwise, when someone murders, they're taking a life. When someone rapes, they're taking virtue. When someone, abuses somebody, they're taking, their ability to be happy. Of course, when they take property, they're taking their property. And entire societies thrive or collapse based upon how theft is handled. And right now, our court systems are upholding the greatest thieves, that we've probably ever seen in this land, where they can go in and just with their money, they can, get judgments of like $53 million. I think it was Rudy Giuliani was like 48 million, and President Trump was, who knows, like I can't remember. It was a whole bunch, and Alex Jones was like, what, billions and billions of dollars, and the list goes on and on and on. It's theft. And when you have rampant theft in a nation, it collapses. So anyway, I'll keep you up to date. But I promised at the beginning that I'd tell you why I actually went bankrupt. And when I was arrested at that football banquet with my sons, that fundraiser, I was very bothered, and they roughed me up a little bit, and then they threw me in a jail cell. And I was just really bothered by the whole thing, how they did it. And it was just terrible that they did it, there and then and all of that. And then I'm thinking, well, how am I ever going to be free from this? Like, how am I ever going to, ever get like a free start and so forth, And then the thought of bankruptcy came into my mind, and it filled me. A peace filled me once I thought of that, and it was a peace that I recognized that was from God. I've felt that several times in my life, and have always known and have always relied on that. And peace was very strong, and it was very clear. And from that moment on, this was like almost 2 years ago, but from that moment on, I knew that I would declare bankruptcy at some point, basically out of obedience to the Lord. And so even though it's contrary to my thinking and thoughts and all of that, and even though I could endure and continue to endure and go the way we are going, where, I'm making money and putting food on the table, working for cash and so forth, all that is put on the side because I know the Lord wants me to go bankrupt. And I think he wants to give, the bankruptcy court a chance to, rectify this or to further diminish the value and the belief in the courts. So thank you very much.